Dr. Jun Kim rubbed his tired eyes and checked the time. 3:18 a.m., another late night at the Korea Quantum Research Center, but he didn't mind. The quiet hours were when he did his best thinking. He took a sip of cold coffee and looked back at his monitor. For the past 5 years, he had worked on this project, a quantum receiver that used entangled particles to detect patterns across space. If his theories were right, it might one day pick up signals that normal radio telescopes couldn't. So far, it had picked up nothing but noise. June stood up to stretch his legs. Maybe it was time to accept that his experiment wasn't working. The funding review was next month, and he had little to show for all the money spent. That's when he heard it, a soft beep from his computer. Then another. June rushed back to his desk. The quantum field monitor was lighting up with activity. Not random noise, but a clear pattern. "That's impossible," he whispered. His hands shook as he typed commands to analyze the signal. The pattern was too regular to be natural, too perfect. The beeping grew louder and faster. On the screen, data poured in. Not just simple pulses, but complex mathematical sequences. June grabbed his phone and called Dr. Hyun Park, his research partner. "Hyun, you need to come to the lab right now." "June? It's the middle of the night." The receiver picked up something, a signal, a real signal. Silence on the other end. Then, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. While waiting, June ran every test he could think of to make sure this wasn't a mistake or a glitch in the system. But the signal continued, growing stronger. According to his instruments, the signal wasn't coming from any known location in the universe. The data showed it originated from nowhere. Or more accurately, from outside the boundaries of observable space. Hyun arrived, her hair messy and coat thrown on over pajamas. She didn't bother with greetings, just went straight to the secondary monitoring station. "Have you checked for equipment failure?" she asked, fingers flying over the keyboard. "First thing I did, everything is working perfectly." Hyun looked at the data and went very still. "This can't be right. These readings suggest the signal is coming from outside our universe." "I know. That's not possible, June. I know that too." They stared at each other, the weight of what they were seeing sinking in. If this was real, it would change everything humans thought they knew about the universe. "It's trying to communicate," Hyun said suddenly, pointing to a new pattern on the screen. The signal had changed. Now it was organizing itself into clear, mathematical symbols, universal language that any advanced civilization would understand. "It's decoding itself," June said in wonder. "The message is translating into a form we can read." Letters began to appear on the screen, one by one. "OUBROKEITU. Broke it," Hyun read aloud. "What does that mean?" June shook his head, unable to speak. "A message from beyond the universe, and it was an accusation." "We need to call the director," Hyun said, reaching for the phone. By noon the next day, the research center was filled with people. Government officials, military officers, other scientists, all crowded into the lab, talking loudly and asking questions June couldn't answer. "What did we break?" the center director asked for the 10th time. "I don't know," June answered again. "The message doesn't say." "Could it be a prank? A hack?" asked a stern woman from the National Intelligence Service. "No," Hyun said firmly. "The quantum receiver isn't connected to any network. It can't be hacked remotely, and the signal itself breaks all known laws of physics. No human technology could create it." June stayed at his monitoring station, tuning out the noise around him. He kept watching for any change in the signal, any new message that might explain the first one. Nothing came. After hours of questions, most of the visitors left. Only a small team of scientists and government officials remained, setting up equipment to record and study every aspect of the signal. "Go home and get some sleep," the director told June and Hyun. "You've been here all night, and we need you fresh tomorrow." Neither wanted to leave, but they knew he was right. They had made the discovery. Now they needed clear heads to figure out what it meant. Across Seoul, strange things began to happen. Song-ho was studying for his physics exam in his small apartment when his coffee cup slid across the table. uphill. He stared as the cup moved about 10 centimeters against gravity, then stopped. When he touched it, it felt normal. He decided he had been studying too long and needed sleep. On the other side of the city, Jiwoo was teaching her 6th grade science class about magnets when all the paper clips on her desk rose into the air and hung there for exactly 5 seconds before falling back down. The children thought it was a cool trick. Jiwoo didn't tell them she had no idea how it happened. In a high-rise office building, businessman Min Ho watched in shock as water from his drinking glass formed perfect geometric shapes in the air before his eyes. When he reached out to touch one of the floating water triangles, it splashed normally over his hand. None of these people knew about the signal from beyond the universe. Not yet. 3 days after the first message, June was still at the lab. Had gone home only to shower and change clothes. Food was delivered to the research center. Sleep happened in short naps on the office couch. The signal continued without change. "You broke it," remained the only message. Reports of strange events were coming in from all over the country. Small spots where gravity briefly reversed. Electronic. Devices turning on without power. Time running at different speeds in different parts of the same room. The government was keeping things quiet, explaining away each incident. Gas leaks, power surges, mass hallucinations. But June and Hyun knew better. Reality itself was glitching. "Whatever we broke, the damage is spreading," Hyun said as they reviewed the latest reports. June nodded. "The question is, what did we do to cause this? What experiment or action broke? Whatever it is, we broke." "Maybe it wasn't just us," Hyun suggested. "Maybe it was something all humans did together." Before June could answer, the quantum receiver beeped loudly. The signal was changing. They rushed to the monitor. New data was coming in, a second message forming. "It's responding to us," June whispered. The new message appeared, one letter at a time. WEARECOMINGTOFIXIT. Hyun grabbed June's arm. "They're coming here? To our universe?" "Seems like it," June said. His mouth felt dry. "And I don't think they're happy with us." The world was about to meet whoever or whatever existed beyond the boundaries of their universe, and humanity's first contact with them had been to break something important. June could only hope that whatever was coming to fix it would leave humanity intact after the repairs were done. The signal pulsed stronger, a countdown beginning. They were on their way. 1 month after the first message, the world was different. The government could no longer hide the truth. Too many strange things had happened in too many places. Taewon Lee sat in his small office at Seoul National University, surrounded by papers covered in complex equations. As one of Korea's top theoretical physicists, he had been asked to figure out what humanity might have broken. For weeks, he had studied the data from June and Hyun's quantum receiver. Today, he thought he finally understood. Taewon picked up his phone and called the special number he had been given. "I need to speak with Dr. Kim and Dr. Park immediately," he said. "I know what we broke." 3 hours later, June and Hyun sat across from Taewon in a secure conference room. Government officials and military leaders filled the remaining seats. "Thank you all for coming," Taewon began. He looked tired but excited. "I believe I understand what's happening." He turned on a projector that showed a simple diagram, a circle with a thin outer line. "Imagine our universe is like a bubble," he said. "Everything we know exists inside this bubble. The laws of physics, time, space, they all work a certain way because of how our bubble is structured." He drew another circle outside the first. But our bubble exists within something larger, something we don't understand and cannot see." A government official interrupted. "You're saying there's a super universe?" "In simple terms, yes," Taewon nodded. "And the membrane between our universe and what lies beyond is very thin in certain places." He pointed to another diagram showing recent high-energy physics experiments conducted around the world. Over the past 10 years, our most powerful experiments have been hitting this membrane without knowing it existed. The Large Hadron Collider, quantum entanglement tests, dark energy mapping, they all created tiny tears in the fabric of reality. The room was completely silent now. We didn't just break the rules, Taewon said quietly. We broke the container. June leaned forward. So these reality glitches are like leaks, Taewon finished, where whatever exists outside our universe is seeping in. And the beings who sent the message? Hyun asked. Taewon shrugged. Perhaps they built our universe, or perhaps they just maintain it. Either way, they know we damaged something important. Military general spoke up. How do we fix it? I don't think we can, Taewon admitted. We don't understand enough about the structure of reality. That's why they're coming, to repair what we broke. The room erupted into worried conversation. If beings from beyond the universe were coming, what did that mean for humanity? Then June's phone beeped with an urgent message. The quantum receiver had picked up something new. Back at the lab, they watched as a third message appeared. STOPMAKINGITWORSE. What are we doing that's making it worse? Hyun wondered. Taewon studied the message, then looked at the active experiments in the lab. His eyes widened. It's this, he said, pointing to the quantum receiver itself. Your device uses quantum entanglement. According to my calculations, that's one of the things tearing the membrane. June looked horrified. You mean our attempt to communicate with them is causing more damage? I think so, Taewon said. We should shut it down immediately. But before they could act, the room around them shifted. For a brief moment, the walls became transparent, showing not the outside world, but something impossible to describe. Shapes and colors that human eyes had never seen before and human minds couldn't process. Then everything snapped back to normal. Everyone in the room had seen it. That was the biggest glitch yet, Hyun whispered. June quickly shut down the quantum receiver. The screens went dark. We need to contact every research facility in the world, Taewon said urgently. All quantum experiments must stop. The news spread quickly. World leaders called emergency meetings. Scientists debated what to do. Many people were scared. If beings from outside the universe were coming, what would they do? Would they be angry? Would they punish humanity? Others were excited. First contact with intelligent life, even if that life wasn't from our universe, was something many had dreamed about. In a small apartment in Seoul, Min Soo, a young programmer, noticed something strange with his computer. The code he had written the night before had changed. Now it contained algorithms he had never seen before, complex instructions that somehow worked better than his original program. Curious, he tried to understand the new code. It seemed to break all the rules of computer science he knew, yet it ran perfectly. It was as if someone, or something, had rewritten his work using knowledge from beyond human understanding. Across the city, Youngja, a Buddhist monk, woke from a strange dream. In it, she had seen enormous beings working to repair tears in what looked like a thin, glowing fabric. The beings noticed her watching and turned toward her. They had no faces she could recognize, but somehow she knew they were concerned. Not angry, but worried about the damage that had been done. When she told her fellow monks about the dream, she learned that 3 others had experienced the same vision. At the Korea Quantum Research Center, June, Hyun, and Taewon worked day and night. They had shut down their equipment as a precaution, but they needed to understand more. If we can't use our technology to study this, what can we do? Hyun asked in frustration. We observe, Taewon said. We catalog every glitch, every strange event. We look for patterns. And we prepare, June added. Whatever is coming, we need to be ready. Reports came in from around the world. The reality glitches were increasing in frequency and strength. In Brazil, gravity reversed in an entire village for 5 minutes. In Canada, time briefly ran backward in a small area, causing clocks to tick in reverse. In Egypt, water turned solid without freezing, then returned to normal hours later. 1 week after shutting down the quantum receiver, June made a decision. We need to turn it back on, he told the others. Just for a moment. We need to send them a message. That could make things worse, Hyun warned. Or it could help, June argued. They're clearly intelligent. They can communicate. Maybe we can explain or ask for help understanding what we need to do. After much debate, they agreed to a brief activation, just long enough to send a single, simple message. They turned on the receiver and immediately a new message appeared. THREEDAYS. June quickly typed their response. We want to help. Tell us how. There was a pause, then a final message came through. PREPAREFORINSPECTION. They shut down the receiver. The message was clear. In 3 days, something would happen. Inspection, Taewon repeated. That sounds official. Like they're coming to assess the damage, or to judge us, Hyun said quietly. June looked out the window at the night sky. Somewhere beyond the stars, beyond the very fabric of reality, something was preparing to enter their world. In 3 days, humanity would meet the beings from beyond the universe. In 3 days, they would learn just how badly they had broken the rules. The world waited. 3 days felt both too long and too short. Governments tried to prepare, though no one knew what to prepare for. Military forces were put on high alert. Scientists shut down all quantum experiments. Religious leaders called for prayer and calm. June barely slept. He spent most of his time at the research center, watching for new messages or signs. None came. On the evening of the second day, he sat with Hyun and Taewon in the quiet lab. What do you think they'll look like? Hyun asked. Taewon shook his head. They exist outside our universe. They might not look like anything we can understand. I keep wondering if they're angry with us, June said. We broke something important without meaning to. Like children who didn't know better, Hyun suggested. Exactly, June nodded. And tomorrow the adults are coming to see what we did. None of them said what they were all thinking. Adults sometimes punish children who break things. The third day dawned bright and clear across Korea. News stations broadcast non-stop coverage of what they called First Contact Day. People either stayed home, afraid, or gathered in public places to be with others when it happened. At exactly noon, it began. All across the world, at the same moment, the sky changed. It wasn't that something appeared in the sky. The sky itself changed. The blue color deepened, then shifted through colors that had no names, before settling into a shimmering pattern that seemed to move like water. In the research center, June, Hyun, and Taewon stood with government officials watching through the large windows. It's starting, Taewon whispered. The air in the room felt heavy like before a storm. Then in the center of the room, the space itself began to fold. There was no other way to describe it. Reality bent inward, creating a point where nothing had been before. The point expanded, opening like an eye, and something came through. Later, when people tried to describe what they saw, they all used different words. Some said it was like a tall human made of light. Others said it was a geometric shape that kept changing. Still others claimed it was invisible, and they could only see the space where it wasn't. To June, it appeared as a column of shifting light, vaguely human in shape, but with too many angles and edges to be truly human. No one screamed or ran. They all felt a strange calmness that seemed to radiate from the being. Then it spoke, not with sound, but directly into their minds. We are here to inspect the damage. The voice was neither male nor female, neither kind nor angry. It simply was. June stepped forward. As the one who had first received the message, he felt responsible. We didn't know we were causing damage, he said. We're sorry. The being's light pulsed slightly. Ignorance is expected of young species, but the damage must be assessed. The being moved wide, or seemed to move, toward one of the quantum computers in the lab. As it approached, the machine began to glow with the same strange light as the being. This is one point of fracture. Taewon spoke up. We've shut down all similar experiments worldwide. Good. but the membrane is already torn in multiple locations. The being turned its attention to Taiwan. You understand the nature of the damage. It wasn't a question. I think so, Taiwan said. Our experiments created tears in the membrane between our universe and whatever lies beyond. Correct. Your universe exists within a controlled environment. The membrane separates your reality from the greater reality. The tears allow leakage between them. Hyun stepped forward. Can the damage be repaired? Yes. We are already beginning. Repairs. But we must understand how the damage occurred to prevent future tears. The being moved again, this time toward the quantum receiver that had picked up the original message. This device detected our communications. It should not have been possible at your level of development. June felt a strange mix of pride and fear. I designed it to detect patterns in quantum entanglement. I didn't know it would reach beyond our universe. You created something beyond your understanding. This is both impressive and concerning. Across the world, similar beings had appeared at every major quantum research facility. They inspected the technology, studied the experiments, and spoke to the scientists. None showed anger, just a calm, methodical approach to their inspection. Seoul. The streets were quiet as people watched the strange sky. Some reported seeing tall figures of light moving between buildings, while others claimed they could hear whispered thoughts that weren't their own. Ji-woo, the science teacher, gathered her courage and approached one of the light beings as it examined a small park. The children in her class had written questions and she felt they deserved answers. "Excuse me," she said, surprised at how steady her voice was. "The children want to know if you're angry with us." The being turned its attention to her. "We do not experience anger as you do. We maintain the structure of realities. Yours is damaged and requires repair, like fixing a broken pipe," Ji-woo suggested. The being pulsed, and Ji-woo somehow knew it was the equivalent of a nod. An adequate analogy. We are maintenance workers for reality. This thought comforted Ji-woo. Not invaders or punishers, just cosmic repair workers. Back at the research center, the being had completed its inspection. It stood in the center of the room again, addressing everyone present. "The damage is significant but repairable. Your species has advanced faster than anticipated." "Is that bad?" Hyun asked. "It is unusual. Most species follow predictable paths of development. Yours has shown creativity." The way the being said creativity made it sound like both a compliment and a concern. "Repairs will take time. During this period, certain technologies must be discontinued." The being projected a list directly into their minds, specific experiments and technologies that were causing the most damage to the membrane. June looked at the list with a sinking heart. It included most of the cutting-edge quantum research that scientists around the world had been working on for years. "This will set our scientific progress back decades," he said. "It will prevent the collapse of your reality," the being replied. "A fair exchange." Hard to argue with that, June thought. "How long until we can resume these technologies?" Taiwan asked. "When the membrane is fully repaired and strengthened, approximately 50 of your years." The room fell silent. 50 years was a lifetime for many of the scientists present. "But we can continue other scientific work?" Hyun asked. "Just not these specific technologies?" "Correct. Your species will still advance, just along safer paths." The being's light began to pulse more rapidly. "The inspection is complete. Repairs begin now. We will monitor your compliance." With those words, the being began to fold back in on itself, shrinking toward the point where it had first appeared. Before it vanished completely, it sent one final thought. "Your species has potential. Do not waste it by breaking your reality." Again, the point closed like an eye, and the being was gone. Outside, the sky slowly returned to its normal blue. The world had just met beings from beyond the universe, and somehow, humanity had survived its first inspection. 6 months after the inspection, life had changed for everyone on Earth. The strange beings, now commonly called maintainers, had not returned in their full form, but their presence was still felt. Occasional patches of shimmering air appeared in places where reality had been damaged. People learned to avoid these spots as strange things still happened near them. Objects floating, time slowing down, or sounds playing backward. June sat in his new office at the Global Reality Protection Agency, a worldwide organization created after the inspection. Scientists who had worked on the banned technologies were now tasked with monitoring reality breaches and ensuring no one tried to restart dangerous experiments. "How are the repairs coming along?" Hyun asked, entering with 2 cups of coffee. June pointed to a map on his screen showing glowing spots around the world. "Slowly but surely, the number of active breaches has decreased by about 20%. Only 49.5 more years to go," Hyun said with a small smile. They had both adjusted to their new roles. It wasn't as exciting as cutting-edge quantum research, but it was important. They were helping to save reality itself. A knock on the door interrupted them. Tae-won entered, looking excited. "You need to see this," he said, placing a tablet on June's desk. "Ji-yoon has been analyzing the mathematical patterns in all the messages we received from the maintainers." Ji-yoon was a brilliant young programmer who had joined their team after the inspection. She had a natural talent for finding patterns where others saw only chaos. June looked at the tablet. It showed complex equations that made his head hurt. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Look at the structure, not the content," Tae-won suggested. June studied the equations again. Suddenly he saw it. "Wait, this looks like..." "Instructions," Hyun finished, looking over his shoulder. "These aren't just communications. They contain embedded information." "Exactly," Tae-won said. "Ji-yoon believes the maintainers left us a roadmap." "For what?" "For after the repairs are complete. It's like homework for humanity." Later that day, Ji-yoon presented her findings to the full team. The young woman spoke quickly, her excitement obvious. "The messages contain layered information," she explained. "On the surface, they're simple communications, but mathematically, they're much more complex." She showed slides with the original messages broken down into mathematical components. When decoded properly, they form a guide to understanding the structure of our universe and the membrane around it. It's like they're teaching us the proper way to explore quantum reality without breaking it. "So they're not just fixing our mistakes," June said slowly. "They're showing us how to do it right in the future." Ji-yoon nodded eagerly. "It's like when a child breaks something and instead of just taking away their toys, a parent shows them how to play properly. They expect us to try again in 50 years, Hyun realized. They're not permanently limiting our development, they're just making sure we understand the rules first." The idea spread quickly through the scientific community. The maintainers weren't punishing humanity, they were teaching it. Around the world, people adapted to the new reality in different ways. Young Ja, the Buddhist monk who had dreamed of the maintainers before their arrival, founded a new spiritual movement. She taught that the universe was one of many nested realities, each with its own purpose and rules. "We are not alone in the great pattern of existence," she told her followers. "We are one thread in a vast tapestry." Her teachings combined ancient wisdom with the new understanding of reality structure. Millions found comfort in her gentle explanation of humanity's place in the larger cosmos. Min-soo, the programmer whose code had been mysteriously improved, formed a technology company that worked within the new limitations. Instead of pursuing quantum computing, his team developed new types of software that mimicked the efficient patterns he had glimpsed in his altered code. "We don't need to break reality to advance," he often said. "We just need to understand it better." His company became one of the most successful in the world, proving that progress could continue even with certain paths closed off. 1 year after the inspection, June received a message that the quantum receiver had detected something new. Although the device had been modified to prevent it from damaging reality, it could still pick up certain types of communications. He rushed to the lab with Hyun, Tae-won, and Ji-eun. On the screen was a new message: repairs proceeding as expected. Continue your development along safe paths. They're checking up on us, Hyun said. Ji-eun studied the message's mathematical structure. There's more information embedded here. Instructions for healing the smaller breaches ourselves. June felt a surge of hope. They're teaching us how to help with the repairs. Taewon looked thoughtful. It's like they're training us to eventually take care of our own reality. Over the next few days, Ji-eun decoded the embedded instructions. They described a device that could seal small reality breaches without causing further damage. With permission from world governments, June's team built the device. It was much simpler than they expected, more like a tuning fork than a complex machine. When activated near a breach, it emitted a pattern that caused the shimmering air to settle back into normal reality. We're reality plumbers now, Hyun joked as they successfully closed their first breach. 5 years after the inspection, much had changed. The Global Reality Protection Agency had branches in every country. Thousands of reality breaches had been repaired by humans using the maintainer's techniques. New sciences had emerged that worked with reality's structure rather than against it. A deeper understanding of the universe's place within the larger framework led to advances in energy production, medicine, and environmental protection. June stood on the roof of the agency's building, looking up at the stars. He thought about how far humanity had come since that night when he first received the message, "You broke it." "Do you think they're watching us?" Hyun asked, joining him. "Definitely," June nodded, "but not like prison guards watching inmates, more like teachers watching students. Students who broke the classroom window while the teacher was out," Hyun added with a smile. "Exactly. But we're learning from our mistake." A small patch of air nearby shimmered slightly. A tiny reality breach. June took out the tuning device and activated it. The air settled back to normal. 50 years seemed like such a long time, he said. But look how much we've already accomplished in just 5. We're not waiting for them to fix everything for us anymore, Hyun agreed. We're helping. We're learning. As they stood there, a final message appeared on June's tablet. Humanity shows promise. You are learning to maintain your own reality. This is the first step to joining the greater community. June and Hyun stared at the words. Greater community? Hyun whispered. There are others? Other universes, other species, maybe even other maintainers, June said, his mind racing with possibilities. The message continued. Continue your progress. In time, you may become maintainers yourselves. The night sky seemed bigger somehow, filled with more possibilities than ever before. Humanity had broken the rules and faced the consequences. But in doing so, they had discovered they were part of something much larger than they had ever imagined. And someday, they might help maintain.